Oakview Group, or OVG, was the highest scoring submission, and negotiations have been ongoing with them since May 15th. Negotiations to date have focused on development of an agreement framework, which outlines the key points of agreement between both parties that will form the foundation of the master agreement. Next slide, please. Appendix 1 of the report describes the framework for the private partner master agreement, and I'd like to take a couple minutes just to go through some of the highlights. Operations management of the convention center and theater would commence 24 months in advance of the opening date of the new arena. And operations management of the new arena would, of course, commence upon completion of construction of the new arena. The term of the agreement would be 25 years following completion of the new arena. Next slide, please. Between the upfront capital contribution of $20 million and ongoing revenue projections over the 25-year term of the operating agreement, the total cash flow to the city to support the funding plan is $170 million. Naming rights agreements for the venues would be governed by the Naming and Civic Property and Development Areas policy and subject to City Council approval. I'd note the Sid Buckball Theatre name is not eligible for sale. One designated day per year will be allocated as a city event day, where the venue will be made available free of charge to the city for an approved community event. This day is being proposed as Remembrance Day to coincide with current festivities that happen at Saskatoon Centre. And that city event day would not be changed without City Council approval. OVG would employ a local economic inclusion policy to maximize economic opportunities for minorities, women, and other disadvantaged business enterprises within its operations and supply chain at the venues. This would include supports for emerging diverse suppliers, such as strategic outreach, notification of procurement opportunities, education about the procurement process, and encouraging participation in the bidding process. Next slide, please. The venues would be available for nonprofit community events at reasonable market rates, with the option to self-cater for qualified community events, such as cultural festivals and celebrations. OVG would commit to making best efforts to find positions for all current staff at the existing venues. Current union employees would be stay employed with that union after the transition, and all union contracts would stay in place. And finally, where there may be open positions in the future, OVG would commit to filling those positions where possible from the local community. Next slide, please. So we're recommending to committee that committee approve a recommendation to council that the private partner agreement framework be approved, that the administration complete negotiations on the master agreement based on the terms of the framework, and that the city solicitor prepare the appropriate agreement for the mayor and city clerk to execute under seal. It's considered a type of P3 agreement, correct? Yes.
What about the design of the buildings? Would they be involved?
They'll be basically a partner with us on those in the development of the details, the design components, but their role is primarily as an operating partner for when the new facilities are built.
Do you have a sense of what percentage of the overall cost that I mean, I know that's the life of the but
we'll have more
that's 25 years, not the life.
Yeah, Charles, we'll have more information than that in 2 weeks when we go public with the council report. It's fair to say it's a significant portion. $170 million in any way you look at it is a very significant amount of investment towards this project. Similar to other cities like us who don't have a pro sports team, typically basketball or hockey would be arenas of this type. So Edmonton and Calgary, as you know, they're both tied to NHL teams. So the way those deals work there is the ownership company, in the case of Edmonton, it's the Oilers Entertainment Group, went into a great long-term lease agreement for the city with the city of Edmonton, where they lease the building and they collect and retain all the revenues, but they make a guaranteed lease payment to the city every year over the 30-year term of that agreement. Same thing in Calgary. It's a long-term lease for their new arena with guaranteed lease payments, but all revenues going to the city. City of Hamilton would be a good comparator, and they've just gotten into a partnership deal with OVG as well to renovate their downtown arena. And so very similar kind of arrangements to ours. Other ones that would be ones to look at would be Baltimore, again, partnering with OVG, Savannah, Georgia, would be another example.